So, before we start, who's giving a statement?
I don't know.
And you're for
I've heard, yeah.
plus one.
Panic attack.
What's your plus one?
That's my plus one.
I have one afterwards. Might as well just double up everybody else's at the moment.
As long as you're okay with it.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
It's a short protocol.
So do you want her to be your?
If she wants to be. Yeah, I don't need somebody for support, but if you want to be here, you're fine.
I would. If
I really don't want to know his story.
If you're okay, we'd rather talk to you since you're more closely.
Yeah.
Privately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that makes me feel better because, yeah.
So do I need anything recorded?
No, not at all.
And the reason why we're recording is that we're hearing so many people's statements, and we don't want to conflate anything or get them confused.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have absolutely no problem.
Believe me, I understand.
Yeah, and it gives us the ability to clarify something with you, or, if you're like, well, I didn't say that, then we could just go back.
It's cheaper than a stenographer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, let me start. Okay.
Did it start?
Yeah. All right. So, it's a Saturday, December 28th. We are in the Church of St. Pecans. Father Mark Mancusa, the Dean of the Carolinas from Tennessee, and the acting rector of St. Pecans Orthodox Church.
Father Alexander Schutten, I'm from New York. I'm Dean of New York City and Long Island. I'm also acting Dean of Florida and a member of the Eastern American Diocese Council. And with the blessing of His Eminence, our Bishop Metropolitan Nicholas, and part of this investigative committee, and helping Father Mark here with this current situation. And I'm here with this also present Metropolitan and the part of Council.
And your name?
My name is Joan Furman.
And your parishioner?
I am a parishioner here at St. Pecans. I've been attending services since the mission in Pigeon Forge closed.
Okay. And then
I'm
your
Raphael.
trusted friend?
Yeah, I'm Raphael Platti, witnessing and supporting Joan. Member of the parish since, I believe, August 2022.
Okay. Well, so first of all, the reason why we have the gospel book out and the cross and kissing them like you would when coming to confession is because this is the typical manner in which, whenever there's a difficult circumstance, amongst Orthodox Christians, that's how we get people to encourage people to tell the truth because they are standing before Christ, just as they stand before Christ during confession. And we hear in the services in the Actinia that we have to make. We're hoping to make a good defense before the judgment seat of Christ, and we have to give an account for everything that we say and do. And it's intensified, especially when we have to talk about other people. That has an impact on their lives, on their salvation, under salvation. And so this is the typical way in which we do it. This is how we let people know how serious it is that we're, because it does affect other people. And we hope and pray for everyone's salvation, that they are honest and forthcoming in front of the gospel and the cross in these circumstances. We are here, we're collecting information. Unfortunately, the word investigation has certain connotations. We are here to ascertain what we can ascertain. And we want to know what people have experienced with regards to Father Matthew in general, and in particular to particular accusations that we've heard of. From our point of view, a formal accusation is made in a setting like this. So that makes sense. So we're here to take these, to assess these, and to be clear that we are not a substitute for the civil authorities or for law enforcement. And what I mean by that in particular is that we are here to the best of our ability to collect information, offer perspective to Bishop. He probably will use the spiritual court to look through the documents. They'll have questions, they'll connect to the canons of the church, and do everything correctly according to canon law. And if, with the idea for everyone involved, all the parishioners, all the clergy, including Father Matthew, we want the church to be able to administer and direct all parties in such a way that the expedience of their salvation is first and foremost. If, in the context of anybody giving a statement, testimony, accusation, whatever, there is a clear-cut violation of civil law, then we will report it. We are required to report. So, one, we're not in place of that, but two is, it's not, we're going to run watertight parallel difference, and if something, again, is a violation of the law, we will do everything the right way according to our own policies and other policies.
Yes, and just to add, sometimes we hear, well, the church doesn't act fast enough, the church doesn't do things under the law. This is not true. Not all bishops and council does great things, but it's a process. It takes time. We're just at the beginning of this process right now, and that's why we need to hear all this, stories. In interview with you, Joan, I just wanted to say you're here to tell your story, your personal experience, your personal facts.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not here to
speculate on anybody else.
Speculate or spread rumors.
This is all about what happened to me.
Yes, and this is why the gospel and the cross, as we know, serious accusations, serious things against the priest, and if it becomes a cool fact, we know what's going to happen to the priest, but he falls on blue light, we know what it means for us as well. Again, we're not here to scare anybody, we're here to help everyone, and meanwhile, we have a wonderful parish, a wonderful church, wonderful community right now, which is going through huge turbulence, and we're here to provide spiritual guidance to everyone, to every person, hope to the healed situation to the best of ability and move forward. So,
Sorry, I skipped a step.
but again, it is a process. So,
I don't call myself often.
Just at 1:58.
explaining, everybody's asking the same question.
Today's my son's birthday, and I just realized it whenever he said what the day was.
Oh, should give him a call afterwards.
Yeah.
And when we start here, so.
My children have disaster birthdays. September 11th, and the day the shuttle blew up.
I had a brother on 9/11 and another one on Christmas, or Western Christmas.
So,
Okay. I do. Okay. My name is Joan Furman, and I've been under the pastoral care of Father Matthew Williams since the Mission Church in Pigeon Forge closed. Approximately 18 months ago, after a situation with my family in Pennsylvania went horribly wrong, I moved my disabled husband to Bluntville. I called Father Matthew, I explained the situation to him, and he told me to come to the church that we would be safe here. So I did. Father Matthew was aware that I went to Pennsylvania to be with my family because I'm very ill. I wanted to be somewhere that someone would care for me when I was unable to work. Joe and I lived in the church for 68 days. I was able to get a job. Father helped us get furniture and household items. During this time, I spent a great deal of time with Father. He was helping me learn to trust people, how to pray, how to confess. He was very attentive. Trust isn't something that I find easy. I've endured years of abuse by my drunken mother, and I was raped violently for 4 hours by my brother Jeff Reed. Father Matthew was well aware of my history. He had been my priest for a while, and I told him before that it had happened. I do not know for sure when things got so twisted around, but I'm going to try to explain. I started to get sicker. Father Matthew noticed the pain I was in and my weight loss. He said I needed to take some time off work because I was too sick, and we needed to get a diagnosis. I fought against this for a long time because I didn't want to know. He insisted, and he raised the money for me to take time off. He said, "Joan, take this money. You're sick. Please rest." So we began deeper talks, but I was so distrustful. Father was kind, loving, very patient with me, and somehow broke down 45 years of a huge defense law I had built, and I began to open up. We talked about my marriage, how Joe and I have not been very close, but it's getting better. I love him, but trust isn't something that I do well. I told him that I was being treated for depression, anxiety, and I was also had ADHD. We had many talks about my medication, the side effects. He told me that the medication was evil and doing horrible things to my mind and my body and my soul. He said that depression was Satan's work and just a demonic attack, and it could be treated and controlled with prayers, confession, and repentance. He told me he was very, very close to someone who had done it with his methods, and he can walk me through it. So I stopped on my medication. Within 40 days, I was manic, riddled with anxiety, and having panic attacks daily. I was totally suicidal. He knew and said I was not praying hard enough. I was not confessing enough or repenting enough. Had Raphael not recognized where I was mentally, I would have killed myself that night. He called Father Mark Tyson and told him that I was in a bad place and he was worried. Father Mark called me and I was angry.
And Father
Mark Tyson
had a pre-existing relationship.
Yes, he was.
Because he was the priest in Pigeon Forge.
Yeah, he was my priest in Pigeon Forge. He brought me back to Orthodoxy. I had left the church when my brother committed suicide in 2000. Mm-hmm. And I was in the hospital sick, and they asked me if I wanted a priest. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm Orthodox. Good luck. And he showed up at 9 o'clock that night. And Father Mark was ordained in the church I grew up in by my father's best friend, Bishop Nicholas Mishko. And I know that it was nothing other than divine intervention that sent that man to Pigeon Forge. Because I'm the only one that still attends regularly. And he brought me back to Orthodoxy, and I'd been going about maybe 3 months down there, and he just finally, and I was the only one that went, you know? And he finally said to me, are you going to do this, or what are you going to do? You know, are you going to confess and commune, or you just want to hang out? And I was like, well, I guess I need to do this, and so we did this. And he brought me back into church. I started confessing and commune again on a regular basis, and I was good. Anyhow, Joe stepped in and figured out that I was off my medication. My husband had no idea I was off my medication. And he made me go back on. Father was angry. But he knew that Joe never really liked him, and so he wouldn't buck my husband. After 3 weeks, I was on my meds. The panic attacks eased, the numbness was replaced the depression, and I could function. Father was still very attentive. He would ask probing questions about how the meds were making me feel. It was weird, but I figured he wanted to know for a reason. I was under weird obedience, like I had to walk the cemetery to church for at least 30 minutes every day where he could monitor me. I could only confess to him. I couldn't talk to Father Mark without a blessing, and the topics I could talk about were approved.
Talk about in confession or in general? In
general. I wasn't allowed to confess to anybody but him.
You said.
If I would go visit Father Mark's parish, anything that he would tell me what I was allowed to talk to him about before I went. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I don't know why.
Okay. I just wanted to...
Yeah. Anyhow, I could only confess to him. I couldn't talk to Father Mark without a blessing, and the topics I could talk about were approved ahead of time. I knew it was for my salvation, and obedience to your priest is something that has been ingrained in me since I was a little girl. So I did as I was told. I was able to go back to work, but I was still sick. I was having some memory issues that were putting people's lives in danger at work. I was leaving the door unlocked. I would forget to lock the door, just
Where?
I worked for Bojangles
Okay.
at a fast food restaurant. I was a manager, and I was in charge of money and locking the doors and things. And I just, I just couldn't. I went to Father because I made no decision in my life without his blessing. He said I should step out from management. This involved a serious pay cut. Again, I was told not to worry. I was taken care of. I was told I must be transparent with my medical and financial situations. I have a text message. We went over our income, our bills, and we picked what we would pay. Rent, lights, car, food, phone, internet, basic stuff. We let everything else go. Until everything blew up, this has worked just fine. Please understand that my timeline is not perfect. My world has been rocked. But I was in that church every single day. I did whatever I was told to do. He had no boundaries. I let it happen, and I was by far his biggest supporter. If anyone criticized how he did things or how he handled things, I would shut it down. Obedience to your priest is difficult. Do better. How many times? Everyone knew, don't complain about Father around Joan because she will call you out in front of everybody. And I did, on a regular basis. The day after unction, the bishop was serving with Father. Monique was in the church, Vincent's wife. Father had me convinced that Vincent was beating his wife and that she was safe at the church. I got a text from Vincent saying he was coming to get his wife and children out of the church.
Downstairs.
Downstairs.
We'll call
Go downstairs.
Yes, sir. It's good to see you.
I got a text message from Vincent saying he was coming and he was getting his wife and he will take Father out of the church. I went to the parking lot and waited for him. Understand this man is about 30-something, an ex-Marine. He has PTSD and is mentally unstable at times. This was one of those times. I gave him 3 choices. He can get his car and wait for the bishop to leave, and then we would talk. He could get his ass kicked by a 60-year-old grandma in the church parking lot, or he could beat me up on the church steps. It was his choice. That was the level of loyalty I had. I would have taken a bullet for him. Father and I became even closer after I passed all of his tests of loyalty. Defending him, being available for anything 24/7, cooking, cleaning, co-op, family-style dinners, lunch on Sundays, however he wanted it done, I made it happen. And I dared anyone to cross the line and complain about his handling of things. I need you to understand that I needed him like I needed air, and now I can't breathe. The past month has been hell. Father finally convinced me, you gotta do this part. I can't.
Okay. How long do you need me to read for? Just this paragraph?
Yes.
The past month has been hell on earth. Father finally convinced me that I was ready to heal from the trauma of my childhood and I needed to tell him my story. We met at the church and he said, the walls have ears and we should take a walk. We went to the park, we swung on the swings like kids. He even threatened to jump off. I reminded him that he wasn't 20 years old and his knees can't take that hit. It was relaxed. I felt safer than I had since my father died. Then he said, are you ready? And I thought I was. We sat next to each other at the table and I started to give him the story of a violent rape that lasted 4 long hours and I forced myself to remember all of it. When I started to cry, he kindly put his arm around my shoulder and sat very close. I could feel his beard on my face and I was okay. I felt safe. Then, when I was done, he started asking questions. Were you a virgin? What did it feel like to give him your virginity? Every touch, every push, and the one that made me know I was dealing with a narcissistic predator. Was there blood on the sheet when he was done? My mind shut down. I just sobbed. He knew he crossed the line. We walked back to the church and he was several strides ahead of me. He got in his car and left. I went inside the hall. I came back out and Fred, Ison was there. I lost my mind and broke down crying.
When was it? What's the date on it?
I don't know. I
But
can't
it was
remember.
this year.
It was, this was like 3 weeks,
Prior to December 8th or so.
Yeah, it
Middle
was-
of November.
middle
So
of
November
November.
somewhere. So
Yes.
we're
So
talking
like last month.
Yeah, last
Yeah.
year.
Can I ask you one question before continuing? When was this full obedience to Father Matthew?
When did that
Start?
begin?
When did that begin?
Whenever I stopped working the first time.
Would that have been about a year ago?
Yeah, it's been about a year.
So about November, December.
You have to
last year.
understand, whenever I started church here, I was the makeup queen, honey. You know? And I had an asymmetrical bob that he... Do you remember my hair was uneven?
Not even.
And it drove him crazy, and he had Yulia cut my hair in his house because he didn't like it that way.
But this whole, I would just we're trying to figure out sort of timelines.
It's been about a year.
Yeah, so but that whole full obedience, no questions asked, can't do anything, you know.
Yeah,
For that, about a year. Okay.
it's been about a year.
Continue with that, please.
I didn't see him the rest of that week. This was shortly after Matushka had made the report to the hierarchy. After the original report was made, Father became distant. I was a little nervous because he wasn't being very attentive, and it was clear to everyone in the parish that Matushka was not a happy wife and wanted changes made. We knew that there were serious marital issues. Everybody knew that there were serious. At one point, I even said,
Just, don't forget this question to you quickly. The word everybody, leave everybody out, and
Right.
we're going to leave family out right now.
Okay.
The question to you directly, when have you noticed there's a marital problem?
when did I notice the marital problems?
Yeah.
Right whenever he started. Whenever he told me that well, that's explained. Okay. I told him, I've been married for 35 years, and I know when a wife is sick of her husband's crap, and the woman is sick of whatever it is you're doing wrong. He pretty much blamed me and Vincent. He said she's angry because he has a second priest, and he still coddles his crazies, and spends too much time with our pastoral care. And he has to limit my access to him at Matushka's insistence. So don't be offended and think I bothered you, abandoned you. That will never happen. Your family. He blames his wife. Anyhow, I had not seen him for several days after I had him figured out and knew he was a predator. He totally ignored me in church, gave blessings to every single person in the building, and walked right by me. So I went to Father Joseph that week to confession, first time ever. And I was like, wow, that felt good. Like it did in Pigeon Forge with Father Mark. I don't feel like I was on trial. I didn't have to answer any detailed questions. And I could commune because I didn't want to punch him in the face. Do you know how many times I've been to confession and I haven't been able to commune? Because I actually had to say to him one time, you understand I call you Father because you're my priest, not my daddy. But he didn't care. I really didn't see him much after that. Oh wait, I'm sorry. He was not happy with me at all and reminded me that I was under obedience to confess only to him. I told him to go F himself and walked away. He got very humble, very quick, and begged my forgiveness, which I did quickly. Trauma bond is something new I get to deal with now. I really didn't see him much after that until Friday the 5th. I had a doctor's appointment with my surgeon, who was going to do my surgery to remove the ruptured silicone breast implants that I have and are poisoning my lymphatic system and may actually be killing me. But they can't give me a prognosis until they get in there and see what the damage is. He was to meet me at the church at 8 a.m. and anoint me with holy oil and give me a blessing. At 8:04, I got a text message saying he wasn't coming, and we could meet that night. I met him, and we walked back to that horrible park, and we sat on the swings. I told him what the doctor had told him. I told him that the surgery was $8,000 up front. I had evidence of a rupture, so my insurance would cover as much as 75 to 80%, but I would need the rest before they would do it. He said, schedule the surgery, I'll handle the money. I said, okay. He gave me his classic Father Matthew hug and said, so, will you be totally flat-chested after the surgery? The next day, I had the Gerard kids in the choir loft. Penny, Paul's oldest daughter, asked me if I could keep a secret. I said, absolutely. I'm extremely close to Paul's family and Father's 4 youngest kids. She said, Matushka kicked Father out of the house because he stopped taking his medication and is doing bad things to girls again. I knew it. I knew I was right. He's a predator, and he got those details from me for his twisted sexual pleasure because he had no longer had access to his own children. I went straight to Paul. He apparently didn't hear everything I said to him. It was a brief 15-second exchange. He got wide-eyed and said, I'll handle it, and told me to go to work, and I left. We exchanged text messages, and then he understood what I had said. I guess he made some calls and confirmed. I don't remember the rest of that night because I totally lost my mind. That night was blurry and some more stuff I'll get to deal with before I die.
Sorry, this is beginning of November?
This is
beginning of December. Was you referenced the 5th earlier? That was the 5th of December.
Okay. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, John. And
Sunday I came to liturgy.
Paul is a subdeacon, and his family
They're hurricane victims.
in the rectory. Their house, they live between here and, are they actually technically in York County?
They're in Asheville. Their house is in the outskirts of Asheville.
Yeah, and it was destroyed, completely destroyed by the...
They are the families that we will know about.
Yeah.
One of the families which were also lost everything.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, they had a creek this wide, came up 40 feet, and went up to their second floor.
Yeah. So it's bad. Sunday I came to liturgy. Paul wouldn't serve with him. I saw him vested, hearing confessions, and I went to the bathroom and threw up. I stayed long enough to get close enough for him and I to make eye contact. I stood right there, and he was right there. And I mouthed the words, I know, and you're done. And he put his head down. I got Vincent. The man had us believing we were the reason for his marital trouble. We were in the parking lot. Matthias came out of the church. He looked at me and knew I knew. I said, how dare he wear those vestments? How dare his vile hands touch that chalice? John Tyson was there with his wife. It was horrible. I wanted to storm the altar and kick his ass. John said, don't make him a victim. So I got my...
John Tyson is married to Juliana.
Juliana Williams.
She's the second oldest?
Yes.
My wife is the second oldest. Juliana is child number 4.
No, the second oldest daughter.
Third oldest daughter.
Third oldest daughter.
John said, don't make him a victim. I got my husband and we left. I sent Matt a text message and told him not to test me. I told him if he was vested and serving Monday morning, I would call him out in front of everybody. I waited until he took his vestments off. And had Vincent not stopped me, I would have heard him. Right here. I don't regret it. Y'all dropped the ball. Had you done your jobs and suspended him when the woman who has been married to the man for 25 years, has 10 children, and tells him he's having inappropriate contact with his own children, he would have not had access to me or Vincent or Vincent's wife. I can forgive Father Matthew, and I have. What his idea was is Orthodox utopia. And he did many, many wonderful things and kind things for thousands of people over his lifetime. He saved me when my family turned on me and my husband. He baptized my husband. He gave me 3 beautiful godchildren. He taught me great lessons. He was the one person I wanted to hang out with the most. His sins are forgiven. He is sick. He needs medication. The hierarchy is far worse than sick man's sexual delusions. You, with clear and convincing evidence and testimony, fail to protect the women and the children of this parish. You put your pride before my safety and the safety of my disabled husband.
Who are you talking to now?
The hierarchy of this diocese. They knew. I now must either beg you to honor this man's promises that he made to me and my husband, or I can hire an attorney and betray my faith. But I'm going to leave that decision to the bishop.
And what is,
Which promise are you talking about?
The financial support that I was promised would happen. I can't pay my rent because I cut my hours back because he said he would help me. I am going to lose my apartment and I'm dying. I can't have the surgery that could save my life because his donors have called me evil and won't help me anymore. So my husband has not been out of bed since Christmas, December 25th. He's almost 70 years old and can barely walk, and he's guilt-ridden that he let another man call his wife out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning to come to a building alone with him. My husband is devastated, and if he makes it to pasta, I will be really, really shocked. I took him to my son on December 25th for what we call Santa Claus Day, and my son, after we got Joe in the car, which took 40 minutes, my son hugged me and said, "You know this is his last Christmas." And I said, "I know. My husband's dying. I am sick. And I came here because he said that I was safe. And now my children have turned on me, and the only place I have to go is Vincent's basement, and that man's crazy." So, I don't know what to do. And I can't wait anymore for answers. You know, the time is now. And I mean, I have wanted to call Father Mark so bad, but I don't want him tainted by this. The exchanges that he's had, I text him every couple of days, telling him I'm fine, and he only response to me is pray. But I can't call him. And Father Joseph is a mess. And we are all just flapping in the wind, and we have been ignored for 2 weeks. I haven't slept, I haven't eaten, I've lost another 25 pounds, and I'm sick. I'm going to go for a lung scan on the 10th of January. That's another $150 I don't have that I'm going to have to figure it out. And I didn't even want to do any of this medical testing. I just wanted to stop it all, and you guys made me do this. And now there's a glimmer of hope that I could get better. And now they pulled the rug. So, if the hierarchy isn't going to protect the women and the children of this parish from a predator, is any of this real? Or is it all just bullshit? I don't know anymore. So, that's where I am.
Well, first of all, I'm first, not first. Here it's all new to me, in a sense, right? That I read a lot of letters and everything was coming in, and we hear. I understand your anger, I understand your frustration, I understand your where you are now. Trust me, I do understand it. And there's nothing I could say to probably console you at this given moment. But from my part, and honestly, with all honesty, I could tell you that we're here to help, to try to help you. It doesn't help you in the current situation, especially it seems to me that certain matters are very urgent, and we'll get to it. Well, thank you for sharing this, because part of this statement are very, very personal and very, very difficult. And please break the trust over somebody in his flock. It's a very, very serious matter. Now, let's start from, but I have questions, because you ended your statement with and basically what you said, that you need financial help that was promised to your father, Matthew. What amount of money are you talking about?
It's about $300 a week.
$300 a week, that's what was promised to you for,
But-
just as a support for...
Yes, but before the hurricane happened,
That was early October.
yeah, before the hurricane happened, what the original plan was whenever, as the illness progressed and I got sicker and then I had to have surgery, what they were...
You said they have surgery, I assume, right?
No, I can't have the surgery. I don't have money. I can't do it.
Now, what money that we're talking about?
The $8,000
Well, with insurance.
with insurance. Yeah, I don't know
You talked to my wife about
Yeah, I have talked to Nina about this.
So
But
this is the 8,000 before the insurance kicks in, or
Yeah.
left over?
that's before insurance.
So 8,000 is what you
Is
need
the
to
total.
pay out of pocket for surgery.
So what Father had planned on doing is, because the only thing that I ever want to do, and I've said this 1,000 times, is I want to come and clean this church. I want to cook. I want to teach kids how to make haluki and pierogies, and I want to, boss them around. That's all I want to do. I mean, I was here the other day for hours cleaning lipstick off these icons, but this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be. And Father said, well, John, whenever you have to stop working and you have to have the surgery, we'll just move you into the guest room there, and you'll live here, take care of the church, and when you go down, we'll come in and take care of you, and I will walk you home. I will teach you what you need to do for your judgment day, and we will walk this path together. So now, here I am, floundering.
May I ask another question? Not to change the subject, but it is very, very important. In your statement, there's a lot of which, we're taking this as all true because this is what you're going to sign, this is the gospel, now this is what your statement is a personal experience. In this statement, there's a lot of complimentary things about parliament, how to help you in this and whatnot. Again, I'm coming back to a question that we're trying to understand. So, through the time that you knew Father Matthew and you got here and whatnot, the way you see something changed in him, his behavior changed, or your statement is that he was always like this and he was just hiding it. And
He's very good.
But because like I said, you stop changing, taking medication, and obviously things went south very, very quickly. You almost killed yourself, right? So we know that. So again, this question to you, maybe because so he changed during the time he was here due to certain factors, or he was always the same, and this was just.
I wasn't, and when I was still living in
George, of course, I'm not.
Yeah, I didn't until I was here in it all the time. I was still very. I don't know how to put it. I mean, I certainly didn't look like this. I wasn't veiled all the time. I wasn't in skirts. I was,
You'd say you became encultured?
Yes, I lived in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and worked in the tourist trap, for years, and I worked 70 hours a week, and I just can't do that anymore.
Look, you obviously you have a very strong personality, and you're a very outspoken person. Maybe too much stuff.
Yeah, it gets me in trouble.
It does. But I personally appreciate people like this. I really do appreciate people like this, but obviously because of the church and we talk about faith and salvation, just for our own sake, we need to be careful so we don't cross the lines regardless, because as Father Mark said, everything we say, later on, it will be remembered.
I understand.
But it's better to be honest and truthful, and no matter how straight as a stick, as my father used to be. He was a priest for over 50 years. He was heading our spiritual court of our diocese for over 40 years, right? And he was always straight as a stick. He would tell you how it is. But right now, as I said, we need to read through the statement again. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of serious stuff. I'm going to tell you one thing. And again, you don't need to accept it. You don't need to believe me. This is, again, right now there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of emotions, and I got it. That matters. That's my statement, as I said. We don't have to argue about it. We're not here to argue. We're here to figure things out. Things will not be ignored or not. There's a certain due process on that. If it takes too long, and certain things, people like you will complete binary, like you said. You have no money to eat, to do things. Meanwhile, you're here falling on your knees every single day. And this is something we'll discuss with Father Mark or whatnot. Promises let's say, made by a priest, the truth will have to be honored, but we'll have to talk about this. But what can we tell you? Of course, like you said, it's hard to pray, it's hard to focus. After what you just said, I don't blame you. I mean, what are you going to do? Certainly don't go to the swings, for sure. Abandon that part of the property, it's helpful. But please, just take it from us. We're here to help and get to the bottom. This is what's important for us to talk. This is what's important for us to have this. Because, like you said, certain matters are very, very urgent, right? And then you just kind of give us a bit more kick to certain urgency to the matter. But we're trying to be objective. It is our job, right? And we are care about salvation of all, no matter how it is. You lost trust, well, not enough, you don't even know us. I can prove to you that if you trust me, I'm certainly not going to do it. I certainly will not be asking, I'm taking the face value because it's your statement, and I said you basically, where you stand. I would not be asking questions like this, and especially to the person who went through a horrible life tragedy, which, as we know, right, goes with you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Certainly in confessions, we're not there to what's the word I'm looking for?
Interrogate.
Interrogate, exactly. We're not there to interrogate. We could help, we could help. Sometimes people don't know how to phrase things and whatnot. And confession also is not a spiritual conversation. You're there to state the facts. This is the sins, I did this, I did this, I did this. If you need more help, then you talk to people. But I truly hope that this is not the end of, not your life and your husband's life, physical, for sure not spiritual, but
Joe is struggling.
yeah, and here we are. Said we're going to be both here tonight. We'll serve him tomorrow. We're here to give counsel and confession to anyone who wants to come here. We're not here to replace anyone, but we'll read through this again. And as I said, I personally thank you for your honesty, for your strong personality, and what you shared. I understand how difficult it is.
I want you to know that yesterday I had a conversation with Raphael, and I asked him why we can't just forgive him and let him come home and fix this. Because I know he could.
And this is a question that, it's a good question, but however, we'll go over that maybe question again. I think right now your spiritual well-being, your spiritual struggle, and your actual physical need is more important than anything else. The only thing that I'll ask you, if you feel a lot of anger around, and however you could, and I know you could do, if you prove to me right now that you have such a strong personality, I'm not saying bottle it up, but to just...
Yeah, I won't flip the switch anymore. Don't worry, they got that under control.
Yeah, but
I won't be attacking nobody in the church again.
But just to find some form of comments, right now. Let's probably talk. This is between us, and it only has to be between us right now. Raphael, obviously, in confidence knows, whoever else knows, that's it. Nobody else needs to know anything else.
Okay, well, the other thing I want you to understand is forgiveness does not ever equal silence. And no one will ever silence me.
Well,
I will answer whoever asks the question.
If they ask the question, for sure. If I ask you a question, if somebody comes up and asks you a question, you have to be truthful. Right? But what I'm trying to say, sometimes we choose to go and vent out. And there's a different story about venting out and just answering the truthful question. So I think the most important thing right now, besides what you said, is that the financial situation. When was the last time you got help financially?
Paul Gerard has kept Joe and I fed and gas for...
It's something, right?
But
no, but what Father Matthew promised, those $300 a week, when's the last time that came through?
It's right, and it was... Last time he gave Joe money, Joe handles all the money because I don't know exactly. Joe, I just say, I don't spend $5 without permission. Right. That's just the way our marriage works.
So did Bob Matthew bring the money? Would it be cash? Or
He would give Joe cash.
Cash.
Yeah. He gave. So I don't. Where did the cash come from,
I
Raphael?
have no idea. Have fun untangling the accounting.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Yeah, but please do private services, people donate and whatnot.
I have no
I
idea.
personally know that at various points it was Father Matthew's own money or church money, depending on what the current financial situation of both were. But I don't.
Okay.
I don't have any idea.
yeah.
You know,
No, I mean that.
He's like, please, he didn't want me to even, he said, Joan, it's just money, money's stupid.
Not wrong.
No, yeah, there's one, I mean, sure, there was a practical side of that question, but I was just
Yeah,
curious, because sometimes that does speak to the nature. I mean, we had, in my parish, a serving parishioner who couldn't make ends meet, and there were 3 of us who mysteriously, a different person every month gave him cash in an envelope, and he just said, I have a guardian angel. So,
yeah,
I'm just not curious.
it's kind of that
kind of thing.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joan, don't worry about that.
Or was it simply?
And I
was
was-
in agreement with the parish, like $300 a week.
No, that wasn't, no, he just, him and Joan went over the bills, because to tell you the truth, if I have to make my car payment, I'm in trouble, because I don't even know who we owe. And that's probably,
Because you have to do
he has a master's degree in international finance, so we kind of let him handle the money.
So basically, again, just for my clarity, and as I said, it's a very, very short statement. Again, thank you. It's difficult, but from what I gather from what you just said, so Father Matthew is greatly did a lot of great things.
He did.
1,000 people, yet he's got a certain to your.
He just,
It's sickness that very, very serious.
then he needs medication
He needs
for.
medication, which he needs attention, and this is what you...
And medication is not evil. It's
No.
just not.
No.
It's just not.
Well,
And this is not just a demonic attack, it's a chemical imbalance.
Absolutely, and this is, I have to agree with you for sure. This is, I would never done. When people came to me during COVID, my parishioners, of course, actually live in New York.
Right.
New York is not Tennessee or South Carolina, but you can say, yeah, COVID, well, we will do that, and do this.
Father Mark served every day.
So we lived in part of Long Island where our parish had to be closed because we don't have 10 people attending at the time, right? And the police chief's house is right in front of my church. Well, they knew. So we catered to everyone, at least we served, and everybody would come, one after another, Sunday to communion, so we'll finish the church like around 11:30, right, with the 10 people, which is mainly my family also. We have 7 kids, 3 grandkids, and it will be, actually my family will be church office. I have to alternate my children, so other parishioners and choir could be there and whatnot. But after that, I would say till 3-4 p.m., because people will come with our families and come for communion and whatnot. So during COVID, but to adjust to it. Right, but what I was trying to say, people will come and ask me personally, so what do I do with the flu, with COVID shots and everything else? And I will tell them, it's not my place to tell you what to do. You have
Father Mark
doctors,
would say the same thing.
you have doctors, you know your medical condition. I know your spiritual condition, I don't know your medical condition. It is up to you, to make that decision. Personally, and I tell them, I really didn't want, some members of my family have certain sicknesses, they can't take those shots, they would have been dead from that. So it was their decision, but my wife was completely against, for example, certain vaccinations, but medication, of course not. I had to take the COVID shot, and I prayed, it was on Sunday, I communed, and I took the mirror, from one of the pipe and say, rub my left head, and with my son, who's a reader in our church, when I went and got the shot. Why? Because otherwise, my parishioners, some people were dying, I could not tend to them in the hospital. I can't and cater to them, because without the proof that you had the shot, and I'm a priest, I'm not going to sort of, can I get the fake card? Of course I could, but I wouldn't do it, because now I'm lying.
Right.
So I had to pray about it and do it and say, listen, I'm doing it because otherwise I can't really attend to the sick and needy to people who need me at that time, they die or whatever it is. So I have to make this decision. Medication is absolutely, there's nothing wrong with taking medication. And we even joke, just to lighten it up a little bit again. I said, well, please get ordained. You should have a prescription right away for the high blood pressure and for all kind of meds, because when we travel somewhere, I travel a lot with iPad. We get there and the first thing you see is just a whole bunch of medication being put out, right? So the same thing yesterday. We checked into a hotel, the first thing I'm just getting my blood pressure medication. You need meds, and you need to stay on your medication. It's a chemical imbalance, absolutely, of course.
And what it does is it brings you up to normal.
Right.
Just like eating a meal brings your physiology.
Yeah, and it's like the noise in my head stopped.
Yeah.
It wasn't 15 thoughts at one time. I had, didn't have 500 open tabs in there.
Yeah. It's not my way.
Shut up.
But with that said, I think we'll quickly, you will have to sign a statement, please.
Absolutely.
And I think we heard you loud and clear. And
I just want to cook and clean. I'm really, honest to God, that's all I want to do. Yell at kids. I'm pretty good at that.
and also thank you for that statement. That you said, let's bring him back here so he can fix it, because he can. I'm not saying that's what the case absolutely is.
I want you to know that I know he has his phone, and I know he sees his messages, and I text him every day. Sometimes I'm not very kind. Most of the time I am. And I've told him that I forgive him, and I just...
Well, like I told Bishop Luke, he can't. It's not possible for him to come back without huge changes. That's just not.
That's the card for the
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you very much. Unless you have specific questions for us.
not.
And again, to a second Alexander, it takes a lot of courage and fortitude to do what you've done, and he's gonna help you along right back actually. But that was one of the things you and me, we have to go back. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. That's tomorrow. I'm always leaving. I'm always flying somewhere.
So like I told you earlier today, I'm gonna try to get your rent squared before I leave. And then we'll just kind of go through the checklist. And my email, my text, just, okay, we'll do what we can.
My husband is extremely humiliated. You don't know how embarrassing this is for him.
John, put him in touch. Let him help fix it.
I'm going to try to get him to come tomorrow. I don't know that I can.
As I said, you see, hopefully you feel that there's certain differences in what you're, I said, open mind and with honesty. I said, salvation is everything. This is what, we care about. Although we have a hard job to do administrative work as well, right?
I don't envy you at all.
Yeah.
And for me, and I don't want to talk out of school, but I will. If there's an immediate need or something needs to be reported, please send it my way.
Absolutely.
Bishop Bogarta has not to do with it.
Not
anymore. That was before you were involved.
Not
because it's just it slows down the process.
You got to get it to you, and I get it. Best to just but I'm good. All right.
Well, hopefully you feel a little better.
I do. I'm going to go to sleep. I haven't done that.
Well, do that.
48 hours.
Hopefully we'll see you in church tomorrow.
I'll be here tonight.
Yeah, okay.
I'll say.
Well, nice to meet you.
Yes.
I wish it was under these circumstances.
Well, I'm probably of my life. I always found that the father